This video is going to show you how to use the CTB and layers and how to set the use the color of the layer to create the line weight. So typically what we do is we will set the line weights in using a CTB, and in previous CAD classes they probably taught you how to set the line weight based on in the layer properties manager, which totally works, that's fine. But when you start getting into civil and survey drawings, there becomes a lot of complexity with it, and you also want to do things like fade back the lines so that they're not real prominent, so they're not all showing black, they kind of show grayed out a little bit, or faded, or what's called screened. So you have that capability when you use a color table. You also have the capability of setting the line weight, just what you want to based on the color. So that way you can have any layer names you want to, have a set color for that, and then you use the CTB to set the line weight and the fading of that line. So this is gives you more flexibility and is an easy way to manage this. So let me show you what I'm talking about here a little bit. If you go over here and just go to plot, in the plot screen here, it's going to come up on the upper right is this print style table. I'm going to click the down arrow here, and you're going to see several of them that are already in here. These three are ones that I've added in, and I'm going to show you how to add those in. For right now, you're going to should end up with none, ICAT, monochrome, and then it's just going to say new down here. So instead of creating one new from scratch, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go and work with this. So we'll come back to this in a minute. I'm going to cancel out of here, and then we'll go over here and get the line, the CTB already brought in for you. Now back in in Canvas, I've given you a CTB that I want you to be able to use right here. It's survey 3030-24x36.ctp. You're going to want to download that. And you can download it wherever you want to, but at some point you're going to want to move it to the following area here. Let me just show you where is the best place to move this to. We go to Print Styles Manager, and it shows these different ones here. And this is where you can modify it, but it doesn't really show you the style. Here's the directory, but you can't read that very well. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to my settings. Let's see here. Here we go. Right here, you go to options. Let me show you again what I did. I clicked on print. This little down arrow right here pulled up this options one here. There's a couple ways of getting here. That's fine. Then I'm going to go to paths and files. Scroll down here until I see print paths, hit the plus sign, and print styles, hit the plus sign, and it shows me my path here. This is what the path is. So if I click on that and click on it one more time, I can do a Control-C and copy that right there. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of here and go back into an Explorer and just open up a new Explorer. Okay, it's going to pull up File Explorer, and I can click up in here under the address and go Control-V, and it puts that address in there. You can see it's quite lengthy and confusing. Some people memorize them, whatever, and you can just copy it right in here and hit the Enter key, and it takes us right to that spot. Okay, this is where Carlson is reading the CTBs. Okay, I've already copied this in here, but what you can do is obviously if you can make a new one of these, and then you're going to want to go over where your project is. And I'll just go ahead and navigate to that, where my project folder is. And you're going to do this on your computer. So find your project folder. I'm going down, here's my project folder here, and then right here's my project folder. So I've taken from Canvas and I've downloaded into my project folder the CTB right here. This 3030-24x36. You can see I've got another one there. That's fine. That's my own personalized one. This is the one you're going to download from Canvas. Just like I showed you right here in Canvas. This is 24x36. You download it. And here it is here. There's the document right there. And then just take that and copy it. Right here. And then go over here to the next one, which is where we had our print styles, and drop it in right here. And Control-V right there. It's going to replace that file. Yeah, that's fine. Replace that file there. And that's it right there. So now that shows up there. So now in Carlson, oops, wrong thing. Carlson here, it's going to show up when we go to do Print Styles Manager it's going to show up in there. I've added these here, so that's why they're already there. So now I've got the one I want, the Survey 2030. Actually, I've got these twice, it looks like. Yeah, so I don't need both those. That's the one I downloaded here. I've demonstrated this before, so that's why it's there. Now I'm just going to modify this. Okay, now in the modification, you can see right here there's a Save As. So the very first thing I would do is do Save As, just so you get your own, and make it, instead of Survey 3030, you're going to make it your own. So I would go over here and call this DLP-24x36 CTB, save that, and now you can see at the top, it's going to save you. So now you have your own CTB file you can work with. So the first thing I would do here is click on this top one and go clear to the bottom, hit your Shift key, and click on the very last one. 254, I should get 255, that was my bad. So it'll there you go, and I got to get 255 as well. Then make these all go to the color black, because you're going to plot, everything's going to be plotted in black. Okay, so that works. Okay, so now we're out of that. Now go up here, and it should have already been set this way, but I'm just showing you how it works. So color 1, you can see what's going on. It's still black. Screened 100%. Here's the line weight of 0.35. So that's red, and I think probably what I'm going to do is we'll keep that the same. It's fine. I'm finding that a little bit smaller text. I use color 1 for text, color 3 for text. So I like to make it point. That's kind of thicker than I like there too. Make it 0.3. And color 2, I use it for text, and we'll make it 0.3 as well, and so on. Now, color 7, or excuse me, 6 is magenta. I like that one for borders, and so I'm going to make that one, or boundary lines. I'm going to make it 0.8. Okay. And then another color I use is color 13, 0.25, and I like it screened back. So I want to screen it back, clear that 25%. So it's really very lightly faded. And then I use a color 11 as well for very thick lines, so 100%, no screening. And I'll go to 1.2 here for that. Real thick, nice thick line. I use it for the boundary or the border of my sheet, that kind of stuff, for header underlines, things like that. And then you go down here, all the way down here, and I like going with this 250, which should be screened back just a little bit. So I'm going to go 75, or let's go back to 85 here. And then 251, 75, 252. Oh, these should all be the same too. I kind of like to do that. 25%, okay, 251. There's 0.3. I'm going to go back down to 25, 0.25. And then 252. And I like to make it 50 is good, and then make it 0.25 as well. And then 253, and then 253, and then we're going to go to 35% faded back, and it should not be a big thick line. I want to be real thin as well. I'm going to go down to like 0.25. We'll just keep them all at 0.25. 254, and it should be at like 15%, or I think I did 25, so 25%. And then 255 should be my smallest one at like 20% or 15%, and it should be a real thin line as well. So 0.25. Okay, so let's see how I've got it set up there. That one needs to be a smaller line weight. Anyway, so you can see now how those work. And I've set them all like I want. And now I'm going to click Save As again. Actually, I don't need to. It's going to save that like that. So click OK. Now I've got my own DLP 24x36, and that's my style. So now when I go plot, and I'll go back here in the model space here, and I go plot this out, or into paper space, layout space. I go to Output, and then I go Page Setup Manager, and I go, yep, that's the one I want. Set it current, and I'm going to go Modify. Here's my plot screen. Instead of it being iCAD, I'm going to use my new one that I just did, DLP 24x36. You will use your own initials. So everything else is set up like I want it to, I think. Fit, it's 1-to-1 here, center, yep, extents. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. So I'm going to click OK for that, and then set it current and close that out. Now when I go plot, it's all defaults. It's all set up like I want it to. It's using the CTB that I want it to use. And now I go preview here, and then I can see it previewed. I'm going to zoom up on a little ways. And now I can see my boundary line is nice and thick. My text here is thinner than that, but still readable. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Do that preview again. I'm going to look at some other elements here. And then, yeah, over here my text. So that's how I want it to show up. So it's looking like I want it to in the line weight contrast that I want. So I could actually go ahead and plot this if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could do that. I'll be set up to do it. So now here's the important thing: is as you go through and set up your layers, you want to keep in mind the color, and that color is assigned to a line weight. So what happens is you get used to using the line weight, the color, because you know all magenta is going to be this line weight. All this yellow is going to be this color, this line weight, and it's going to plot like you want it to. And so it's a lot easier when you're working with a lot of different lines and colors and layers, that once you see a certain colors, it's going to come out at that line weight. And so in companies, it works really well, because then company after company, you have these things organized in your company so that anybody using it in the company, as soon as they see magenta, they also know it's going to be a thicker line. Or they use the yellow, and all text is going to be either yellow, white, or green. That's just how we do it. And so it can be named different things, annotation for one thing or the other, but if it's any kind of text or any kind of annotation, it's going to be either white, yellow, or green, light green, because you can see them easily, okay? And so that's how we work with that. All topo lines, they're always going to be a certain one. The major index lines, contour lines, are going to be thicker than the minor contour lines, but all contour lines are going to be faded back. So this is the kind of thing that you want to keep in mind as you go forward working with the CTB and the layer names. Now, I've given you also reference information like this. Here is this one that's the 3031, the survey standard one, and it already shows you a lot of the typical layer naming conventions, how we want to do them. And here's the principles of this right here. Oh, right here. Nope. Okay, I'll have to pull it up. I thought I had it there. Should be here. Principles. Okay, I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Okay, sorry. So here's the layer naming principles. You got the discipline first, the V dash, in this case it's surveying, or civil is C dash. Then you got the element type right up here. And the element type is, in this case, easement or road. And then you have a dash. The next one is the element specific. The next two are element specific kinds of things. So anything that's surveying related, that's where you're creating a site, an existing site map of some kind, or you've got points that are survey points, those kind of things are all survey oriented. Then you use that V dash, and then you easements and so on. So now what I've done is I show you this, but now I've also got these other. Here's what I'm giving you as samples of how this actually works. This is something I've used in consulting with other companies, providing this is an actual layer standard setup for them. So V-topo uses, the ano is using 120. They use the minor is 134, 25% faded back, and 136 is 50% faded back. A lot of people don't like that. You can change it. Whatever you do, that's the standard. And so then everyone in the office gets to use that. So you all decide on what you're going to do as a standard. And then based on those different principles. So here's like different line weights, kind of gives you an idea of the different kinds of line weights that are typical for drawings. And here's the CTB, how it's set up right now. This is how the 3030 CTB is set up. So you can just use it by default, but you got to make sure you're understanding what layers go where, what colors are on what layers, which is what this does. Shows you what layers, and then the layer naming convention as well as the color right here. It shows you the color, and then the line type, and so on. And the line weight when you're using a 24 by 36 sheet, which is how ours are all set up right now. And then you actually have the application of those layers in this far right column. Now in Carlson, that shows up here under Layer Properties Manager. Right here, you actually have a description over here. Whoops. you have a description that you can use. A lot of people don't even use this, but in a standard, you can actually set that up so the description actually says something that's meaningful. So when you click on it, you know, as a company standard, this is how we're set up. So you know what to put on what layer as you're going through and doing it. And that way, from drafter to drafter to drafter, from survey tech or engineering tech to the other, and engineers to surveyors, everybody in the office can use this standard. So this is the advantage of having these kinds of things set up in an office. And this is how we incorporate the layer properties manager with the colors, with the layers, the layer names, the layer naming conventions, and have a drawing that looks consistent from one surveyor to the next in the same office. So I highly recommend implementing something like this. It takes time to put these standards together and deciding what you're going to do as an office, but believe me, it will save you a lot of time and energy and effort in the future.